What's good, everyone? This your main correspondent, Alan Taylor, and I'm back in the broadcast room. And this is where we at. So you clearly see the title of the broadcast. And this is where we at here. This PPP loan shit is finally catching up with people. And of course, they're losing their minds. Some people think they're not having to go to jail. Some people may kind of be I know I did the crime. I got to do the time. But it just is what it is, man. You know, when everybody was scrambling trying to get those loans at that particular era in the United States, and they were doing it, man. And you know what I'm saying? I had even got approached and stuff like that. I was like, nah, this shit too good to be true. They're just giving away money like this. I mean, without it being unemployment, stuff like that, people lost a lot of jobs in 2020. So yeah, unemployment was, there to compensate and stuff like that. Even though, we know unemployment ain't just a shit ton of money. But yeah, I thought that this loan situation here or whatever was a truly, stupid idea, for people to take advantage of that didn't have the proper businesses and things like that to, partake in these loans, because that's basically what they were for. They made it very clear that this was for, loans for businesses and things like that, nothing personal. So yeah, and I saw a lot of personal people taking loans out being stupid. But listen, look, man, we're about to dive off into this. Let's go here now. Quarters, nickels, and dimes, people.
My coworker got fired for getting the PPP loan. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I saw a girl's video saying that she just had her case with the feds regarding getting the PPP loan, like lying on the application, and she got sentenced to 9.5 years. 9.5 years. And I saw other people in the comments saying that they're going through their case. I saw somebody else say that they got sentenced for wire fraud. And these people are not playing. They are not playing, and banks are assisting. They are assisting in the process. As somebody who works in banking, who's worked in multiple different banks, the banks help the IRS. But let me tell y'all what happened with my coworker.
Of course, they would help the IRS. You know what I'm saying? That's that's their bloodline. That's their lifeline in case they need to be bailed out, which they have been bailed out, definitely in 2008, things like that. So the banks are they're going to help them. They're going to help the IRS get their money. Let's just keep this real, just like they're going to get their money.
So this is my coworker that turned into a friend. So I had already left the company by the time that she got fired. But ultimately what happened was, this was 2022. The list came out of everybody who had got the PPP loan. She obviously was on that list, and she ended up in HR. Clearly the bank was looking at the list, not my current job, y'all. Again, this is a company that I left. So don't call them people again, please. But she ended up in a meeting with HR. They asked her, like, oh, you were on this list, you have a business. And basically, there was a date that your business had to be established to qualify for the PPP loan. And a lot of people created LLCs after that date. And that's how they know if your application was fraudulent. And so they told her, like,
right, that makes sense. If you're going to take out a loan, after, the date that your PPP loan, that your, LLC was created, that makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just created this, this loan. You just created this LLC. So, no. And I don't understand how people think that they can fool people that actually give us the technology.
So what the French toast is there to think about?
It amazes me, the thought process of some of these average ass people walking around here thinking that they, and you average, I don't give a fuck what your bank account say. You still average human. And for, the government gave us technology. They had cell phones back in 1950. We just now getting them now, technically. So, it's like, man, people are just slow when they don't know what's going on in society. That's the reason why a lot of people getting caught up with this foolishness.
Like, I don't think that you qualified for this PPP loan based on when you establish your business or whatever, but she didn't admit to anything. And her business was selling handmade jewelry, right? So the reason why they were able to fire her is because if you've ever worked for a bank, a financial institution, a brokerage, you have to disclose all outside business activities. It's regulatory. You have to sign off that you will disclose anything, any second job, any second source of income. If you're a part of the board of directors for any type of company, nonprofit, sometimes even volunteer work, you have to disclose it so that the bank can make sure it's not a conflict of interest. So basically they fired her because they said that her not disclosing that she had a business was violating company policy, because she should have told them. And I'm sure y'all are going to say, well, she should have told them that, she stopped the business when she started working. I guess whenever she established it, she had already started working there. So like the dates just didn't line up. But yeah, they fired her and said that it was because she didn't disclose that she had a business. But if she had disclosed that she had a business, it wouldn't have been a conflict of interest for her to sell handmade jewelry. They fired her because of that PPP loan. And that
Right. And that's just the thing here. Selling jewelry, of course, that wouldn't have been nothing that she would have been fired for. Of course, just logical common sense, things like that. But also too, if you're working for these type of corporations and stuff like that, and if they do have this type of clause inside their contracts, you kind of, I mean, when you go to any job or career, whatever, you sign in a contract to a degree, but yeah, it just is what it is, man. So yeah, she had to go, but it's crazy out here the way these people are not understanding what's happening to them, and they're sitting around here thinking that life is a game. Let's go here now.
PPP fraudsters rotting in prison. Andre Lorquet wanted to get rich without working hard, so he decided to submit multiple fraudulent loan applications to the Paycheck Protection Program between June 2020 and November 2021. Along with his applications, he submitted fraudulent paperwork. He was hoping to receive $4.7 million in funding, but he received $4.4 million. Lorquet bought a Lamborghini Urus, a Porsche Panamera GTS, and 2 Teslas. Along with his rides, he got some bling. He purchased an Audemars Piguet watch, a custom pendant, and a chain with 70 carats of diamonds. He flaunted his purchase on Instagram, and in August 2023, the feds came knocking with an arrest warrant. They charged him with 4 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of money laundering, and 1 count of identity theft. He was facing up to 22 years. He pleaded guilty to a count of money laundering. In March 2024, he was sentenced to 71 months in federal prison.
Now, and this is just the case here. I'm glad that justice is being had, with this PPP loan crap, because these idiots decide to go out there and take out these, contracts with the government for this money. It didn't have the proper businesses already established that the money was actually for.
So what the French toast is there to think about?
He buying Lamborghinis, all this other type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, people weren't going to keep up with your purchases. Dude, once you sign up for some government type stuff like this, you're being watched always. They were already watching everybody. So they know who actually used the money for the proper things and who didn't. That's the reason why it's easy for them to catch up with you. It's ridiculous though. But this is where we at right here. And people think that they just can live life and get over on every fucking body. This is a damn shame. You're definitely not going to get over on the fucking IRS. They don't play around.
PPP loan warrants are actually going out. Now that it's set in and everybody realized that the PPP loan scam is up and folks are actually getting caught, let me be the first to say good for y'all asses. Because us law-abiding citizens, non-scamming citizens who actually go out here and work hard every day told y'all so. And I got people in my comment section talking ish like as if we told y'all to go scam. And for the people saying that somebody stole their social and created a business and got the loan in their name and all this other stuff, stop your lying. Everybody's trying that now. But what I don't understand, 2 things. One is you got.
Now, if that is, let's just take that for maybe a little bit of face value. If that's the case, if things like that, and somebody that was engaged in trying to get the PPP, fraudulently put your name down. I'm not saying that that's impossible. Okay. I'm also not saying that, these people aren't lying either. But if you do have the tangible proof that you can prove that, you was actually, your name was fraudulently put down by somebody else, and you have the proof that they did this and things like that, then you possibly can beat the case. But yeah, you would have to have overwhelming amount of proof.
Between $100,000 and $1 million, you should have fled the country. You should already been out of here. For 2, What makes you think they're not going to catch you? Your social is they know who you are. I'm convinced that people really be dragging down the gene pool out here, because what makes you think you're going to put down all your information and not get caught? They are starting with cases at $2 million, and they're working their way down from there. Obviously, you can pay off these loans or bargain your way out of it, but crime don't pay. And if it did pay, you should have been out of here.
Well, at the end of the day, though, I'm not sure about the negotiating part and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure, the government will negotiate something if they feel like that person who they have in custody could possibly pay it back. Or, if they can't, they definitely going to jail. Listen, look, it just is what it is. Or seize assets and try to get to, if they have, like let's say the gentleman I just showed you, if he still have some of those cars and all that type of stuff, if they seize those assets and it give back somewhat of the money and stuff like that after, the government sees it and maybe auction, whatever, it will reduce the amount that, was stolen basically by, these people. And, that's just theory in my mind. That's just a theory, but that's neither here nor there. So we're going to go here now. We're going to see what this gentleman has to say as well,
Yeah, that PPP shit is real. I don't know what I was thinking back then when I decided I was going to get that loan, man. And I got served, man. And it's not worth it for everybody out there who getting it. It's not worth it because now I got to deal with the aftermath of it. I got 4 daughters. It's just a lot to deal with. It's not worth it, man. Don't put yourself in that situation. And I know y'all been like, damn, you been down the past few days. You ain't really been responding. They got me, man.
Hey, it is what it is, though. It is what it is out here, people.
So what the French toast is there to think about?
It's crazy, but it's real. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have the sympathy for people that, I probably would have had years ago. I've definitely changed and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that people don't deserve sympathy for their situations, but it depends on the situation with me. And in this case right here, when you deliberately go out and take a loan out from anybody, a bank, private citizen, whatever, when you take a loan out from you are obligated to pay said loan back. Now, I know the falsifications or the delusion that everybody was under with the PPP shit was that they're supposed to have been forgiving and this and that, but they were only going to forgive the loan if you had tangible evidence, records, receipts, and valuable information that you actually did what the contract of obtaining the loan said to do. And that was, say you had a business already that was established before the loan production came out, and, not create an LLC after they said that they was going to do the PPP thing. That's not it. You already had to have a business established well before then. You had to actually have a substantial amount of employees and things like that. Or if you had a business beforehand, if you didn't have a shit ton of employees, maybe you, a couple other people, stuff like that. I'm pretty sure they probably went by the amount of employees you had versus, how much loan you was going to get. But no, you can't sit there and fraudulently just put down some stuff and think that they're not going to find out that your LLC is a fucking fake out here. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. But this is where we at here, people. And there's going to be a lot of people that's going to keep getting locked the fuck up out here. And that's on them. That is on them. But we're going to go here now and check this out.
This is how the government is catching people that file falsely and fraudulently PPP loan applications. Now, they're using a combination of data analysis, audits, tips from whistleblowers to catch people who file falsely. and also using agencies like the Small Business Administration, the Department of Justice, and also the IRS to track suspicious activity like inflated payroll figures, fake businesses documentation, and also other things that's kind of like a misrepresentation in the business. They're also cross-checking the PPP applications with tax records, business licenses, and other public data to spot inconsistencies as well. Now, in some cases, some people are being charged and prosecuted that only helped people file fraudulent PPP loans. So
I can see how that's fraud too. If you help somebody create a fake documentation, first of all, it's illegal to create fake documentation in the first place. Period.
So what the French toast is going to think about?
Fake driver's licenses, fake passports, all that type of stuff. If it's not sanctioned by the government and stuff like that, it's illegal to create that shit. Period. So yeah, I can see how they would get arrested as well for, creating, fake LLCs and every other little thing that probably needed to take place in order for these people to get this money.
Tell me what you all think. These PPP loans were filed in 2020, 2021, around the COVID pandemic time. It is now 2025. Do you all feel like that people should still be prosecuted for fraudulently submitting PPP loan applications and receiving those funds fraudulently?
Yes. Hell yes. Hold on.
You old fish-eyed fool.
Hell yes. That it's no time limit on fraud. What are you talking about? It's no time limit on that. You know what I'm saying? And if it is a time limit, be honest with you, that's the reason why they're probably kicking in now and trying to get shit right. Because if it is a time limit, I think maybe 10, 15 years, something like that, if there is a time limit, but I don't think there is on fraud. It just don't make any sense to me. Illegal is illegal here. And these people are, under the fire because they took a tremendous amounts of money. Like, this ain't a couple of $100 these people took out here from the government. This is thousands upon thousands and millions of dollars that these people took from the government. And the government's not going to play around with that type of large amount of money. You know what I'm saying? They already have an issue with people not paying their taxes and stuff like that, and they'll come take your shit then. Just imagine you actually took out a loan, presented falsified paperwork for LLCs and all this other type of shit, and said that you had employees that didn't exist and all this other type of stuff. And now you want to sit there crying whine because they didn't call back up with you because you actually put your legal name with your social security numbers and all this other type of shit on documentation to get this type of money from the government. You crazy out here.
Thank me in the morning.
You ain't right, man.
Oh, I'm right. You'll see.
This is crazy. These people are wild out here, bro. These people are wild, and it's no stopping them. Let's keep going now.
The PPP warrant list is real. You have a real page with my fucking name on it for $37,000. Not only $37,000, but also because I used my child's father's name to open up a bank account to get $18,000.
Damn.
I really thought it was a joke when I see it on the TikTok. I thought it was a fucking joke. There's so many people on there that I know that is on that list, bro. On that fucking list. Meanwhile, I just had a baby. Bro. Like, and as for that person that sent me a text talking about
all right, so I guess she started to go off into something else. But listen, look, baby, it just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You sat around here and you created a false bank account in your quote unquote baby daddy's name to get 18 grand. You know what I'm saying? You in debt for 37, you know, for the whole loan itself, things like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm wondering how that's working out with the baby daddy getting falsified documents on him like that. This is crazy. Wow. Wow. And see, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's crazy right there to me. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, you know, she knew a little bit too much personal information for him to be a baby daddy. This wasn't his wife, you know what I'm saying, that knew his social security numbers, all that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? This is, a baby mama and whatever. Like, no, this is crazy right here. But this is the dangerous shit that these people are getting themselves into out here. And this is just how it's going down, you know, like it or not. And we at this point right now. So, you know what I'm saying? Let's go here now. We're gonna check some stuff out, baby. It is what it is here, you know, because this PPP loan shit is crazy. Let's go here now.
I'm a nurse practitioner and I was just released from federal prison. A mistake was made on the application. I didn't read, I just signed it. And as a result, I lost it all. It cost me everything.
So this is Melissa Watson, and she spent a year and a day in the federal penitentiary for taking the government's money and getting a fraudulent provider relief loan during COVID. So this will happen in Melissa Watson's case. So she was taking too long to give us the story time. She basically spent 12 months and 1 day in federal prison due to fraudulent use of provider relief funds. So what this is basically PPP funds for people that had like provider care units or some type of hospital, something that was helping the people hospital related.
Healthcare.
So she received $789,000 that was supposed to be for her, healthcare facility to keep it operating during the time, help her get supplies and things. But instead, per the affidavit, sis was out here spending the money on luxury cars, on trips, on a timeshare, on a trailer, on real estate, all of this, but not on her patient care facility that she had. As a result, she had to spend a year and 1 day in jail. She's out now on 3-year probation and has to pay back over $1 million for fraudulent use of the government funds. They're coming to get y'all for this PPP money. Y'all think it's a game. One thing the government can do is come and get their money now. They may think that they didn't forget about you, but they can come get their money and take your ass to jail.
Yep. Hey, listen, look.
So what the French toast is gonna think
Take
about?
your ass clean to jail. So she captured $700 and something thousand, you know what I'm saying, and got to pay restitution of $1 million. I guarantee you she's not gonna come up with that. You know, she's out on probation, parole, whatever, you know what I'm saying, and things like that. This is wild right here. Now, you know, I think some of these people that get 9 years, stuff like that, you know, to bring this up, you know, technically you only have to serve 85% of your time. So, you know, you get 9 years. I think you probably would have to serve like maybe 6 of those, something like 6.5, somewhere in there, you know, actually locked up. And then, of course, probably do the rest of your time on papers or whatever. But, you know, it just amazes me the risk that some of these people would take and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that I'm innocent. I took risks back in the day when, you know what I'm saying, I used to run the streets and, you know, sell a few products and stuff like that. I'm just going to leave it right there. You know, but it just amazes me when you just directly get money from the government and use your own real life information, social security numbers, all this type of stuff. And then you think these people are not going to actually watch what you're doing with the money that they gave you. It just makes no sense to me, man. It makes no fucking sense, man. This is crazy out here, but this is where we at, people. And yes, the PPP shit is catching up with a lot of these folks. So we're going to go here now to the last segment and check this out. Real talk, quarters, nickels, and dimes, people.
So this is another PPP loan story. So here we got Kristen Benrick. She's 52 years old. So apparently Texas is not playing when it comes to these PPP loans. This lady had only took out $405,340. She's facing 45 years behind jail. She was indicted on 6 wire fraud charges. So as you can see, another PPP loan fraudster had more than 200,000 in loans, and that's who they're looking at. They're looking at the big fishes. They knew she didn't. She had a business, so they are also taking down the business owners, not just the people who submitted fraudulent paperwork. So she had a business from 2015 through 2022, and she took out $405,000 for that. And she basically just lied about how many employees she had, and she went out and used the funds on luxurious items like the rest of them.
Wow. Instead of using the money for what she was supposed to use it for, which is to keep her business going, which probably would have been more profitable by now, which probably would have, you know what I'm saying, actually, you know, gave her other opportunities to get other grants or loans and stuff like that by now, if she had to use that money properly for the business to help keep the economy going, because that's what technically it was for. And, you know, Jesus, man, you know, the long game is what a lot of people don't think about in life anymore. The long game. Everybody's on the short game because, you know, we live in a society nowadays where everybody wants everything instantly, like instant coffee and shit. It's crazy, but it's the truth. And the long game is what makes sure that you are either safe from hurt, harm, or danger, or the long game can get you in a lot of trouble to where you're going to end up in a fucked up situation.
So chances are, if you use the money on luxurious items and you didn't pay any employees and you took over $200,000, they're coming after you this year for sure. This is what the feds is saying, that they are catching the big fraudsters. And then they'll get to the people who took lower, you know, they got 20 years to catch these people. So they'll do that in the latter. And I don't know, she needs to contact the other people I did. You know, this lady got 5 years and she took $6 million. So Texas don't seem like they're playing. Y'all drop a comment. They said she was out of Dallas, but then another article says she was from Houston. But this is her business. It's called Clearly Kristen. It's a jewelry business. And, you know, she was an actual business owner. So the peace be with the people who didn't have a business at all and did this. So y'all drop a comment on what you.
Man, this is crazy here, but this is where we at, people. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all these idiots out here that decided to get these PPP loans and shit. You know what I'm saying? Y'all crazy out here, man. Y'all crazy. But this is where y'all at right here. Y'all took out these loans, man, and now y'all on the internet, you know what I'm saying, looking stupid, talking out the side of your necks. I can't believe this, man. And you know what I'm saying, you know, and shout out to the dude that decided to own up to what he did, stuff like that. But you know, nah, man. Y'all should have known in the first damn place that this whole scenario was a fucking setup. You know what I'm saying? The government is not fucking stupid, people. They're not finna send out, definitely during that era of the pandemic. They know everybody was out of jobs. A lot of people was fucking starving. A lot of people, even business owners, whatever. Everybody was fucking starving. They knew good and goddamn well if they set this shit up to where a lot of people were going to engage in that. Some were going to be legitimate people. They knew that fact. They do studies and all this types of shit on the population, mental, all type finances, everything about us. And they knew that, you know, it was going to be a certain segment of people, like I said, that, you know what I'm saying, we're going to take the money and do right by it. But they were counting on also a certain segment of people that were not going to do the right thing by the money. And here's why. The thing of this is that, yes, you know what I'm saying, you're getting people that are going to have jail time. So there's judges and lawyers being paid, institutions that still are getting government fundings and stuff like that to house these prisoners and things like that. So because you got to be fed, all this other type of stuff, you know what I'm saying, humane conditions, and you know, while you're locked up. But this is just the case, man. Y'all sat out there and y'all decided to be stupid out here and fall for the boo-boo, the food trap. And this is where y'all at. But it is what it is, though. Shout out to all my subscribers. Mad love to y'all. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like, share, subscribe button. Make sure you ring that bell to be notified whenever I decide to post things. And like I always say,
and that, my friends, is the bottom line.
That, my friends, is the bottom line.